Hi guys, Drew with DruKTalks. Exciting day. I have officially joined a political party. I know, it's big news. I have been independent most of my adult life. I grew up in the Republican Party. It was very, very neocon. And I left the party after becoming disillusioned with the whole Bush years debacle. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, the Republican Party is going to change back. I don't think it is. So this whole last election season, my state, Montana, had what we call a red wave. It went all the way conservative. We still have some pockets of blue left in the state. But overall, we had Republican governor, Republican senator, all that stuff. And everyone was hopeful. I mean, people acted like the Republican Party was going to step in and restore First Amendment rights. They were going to put things back to how they should be. They were going to respect individual liberty. They were going to limit the size of the government. And there was a part of me that has kind of watched the Republican Party with a very cynical eye for the past over a decade. And I was like, we'll see. We will see. And it's been kind of exactly what I expected. See, the problem is the Republican establishment's brand of limited government. It doesn't mean actually making the government any smaller. It just means regulating it more. So rather than get rid of departments that are unconstitutional or unnecessary, they can't think around that. They're just going to modify the code to limit some of their power. They don't shrink anything. They just alter how things are regulated or how different departments are funded. And I say this because I've watched the Republican Party at the national level. Now, the media, they make Republican Party out to be like parts of it as some sort of extreme, we're slashing the government down, oh, be afraid, who's going to look out for you when they get rid of all this stuff? But they really don't. They fund the same thing the Democrats fund. They've always kind of been the war party. I hate to say that, and that's switched a little bit in the past few years, which has been really strange. The Democrats used to be so anti-war, and now they are very, very pro-military industrial complex, all that stuff. So I was watching this and I was thinking, you know, there is nobody that is representing limited government right now. The people want it. We all talk about it. But a lot of people talk about it and they're like, well, what else are we going to do? The Republicans are the limited government party. And so I had kind of flirted with the idea of joining the Libertarian Party. But the problem with the Libertarian Party is they have put forth some awful candidates in the past. And also, there's like a huge part of the Libertarian Party that is like 100% socialist. I know that's strange. I've met some libertarians, and I'm like, why aren't you in the Democrat Party? And I think it's because the Libertarian Party has hardline been anti-prohibition. So I think that draws people to it who don't care about individual freedoms, liberties, or personal property other than on that stuff that they want to do. So I was like, you know, I've thought about joining the Libertarian Party, but I'm not sure if it really aligns with my values. I just don't have a home. And somebody wrote me online and he said, join this group. And so I went and joined this group, not knowing what it was. It was the Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party. And wow, oh my gosh, it was like my people. So they were talking about individual liberty. They were talking about non-interventionalism in our foreign policy. They were talking about ending prohibition, private property rights. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And so I went ahead and did it. I joined the Libertarian Party and now I'm a member. I haven't officially joined the Mises Caucus. I've just been following them online. I really need to do that. But I'm going to put in the description the link to the Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party. They are growing a lot, and they are set to possibly take over that party and clean it up a little bit and restore it to its basic principles of don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. Simple ideals, I know. Is the Libertarian Party perfect? No, because none of them are. And honestly, if it became super big and powerful like our duopoly right now, it would probably become corrupt. But I feel like the American people deserve more than two options, which is really just the same coin with different sides, honestly. Right now, the Democrat Party is basically two parties. And they're always going to vote together because they believe in this collective community mindset. But we have the far left progressives over here, and we have the Democrat establishment over here. And they're very different, but they'll put on a united front. The Republican Party might even split this year. I'm just saying, right now we have Republican establishment, old school Republicans, kind of left over from the Bush years, and we have Trumpism over here. And so that actually might split. I don't know. The Republicans aren't going to want to lose, so they're probably going to keep it together as best they can. Some people might ask, well, Drew, why don't you just join the Republican Party and change that from the inside out? Because it would be like trying to turn the Titanic away from an iceberg. It's too big and it's too corrupt. The Republican Party sells out our rights for federal funding at the state level, I feel like. They'll pass things if there's money tied to it. Also, I have news for a lot of those single issue voters. So this may be hard to hear. A lot of people in the Republican Party are single issue voters. They will vote Republican because they are pro-life. And they will vote for them regardless of policy, and they'll say, well, I have to vote pro-life because this is my passionate issue. The Republican establishment knows that. They are never going to return abortion laws to the state level, and they are never, ever going to get rid of Roe versus Wade. Because, do you know how many voters they rely on to fight the evils of abortion? I'm not joking. This brings them so many votes. I talk to so many people who don't like a Republican candidate, but they say, well, he's the pro-life candidate. So if Republicans didn't have those pro-life people passionately voting for them, would they ever win? They would lose a lot of votes, I guarantee that. So a lot of people don't believe me on this, and maybe at a lower local level, you actually have legitimate pro-life people. But the Republican Party at the very top, there have been times they had the power to do something for the pro-life movement that they claim to support, and they didn't. And I think, it's been decades since Roe versus Wade came in. I think it's because they need those votes. That's what I think. So don't be a single issue voter. It really gives a certain party too much power who has awful policies. Also, the Republican Party's brand of limited government is not something I can even wrap my mind around. Like I said, they don't actually do away with government. They modify what's already there. And I just feel that's not good enough. We had the First Amendment stripped away this year. We have departments who were able to do away with religious freedom, all because we have grown to believe that the government is somehow in charge of the population's health. They aren't. They aren't in charge of our health. They're also not in charge of our retirement and our money. Social Security is probably one of the biggest scams there is. It's horribly invested, and it's because we decided the government needs to be in charge of our retirement. like, now people have just grown so accustomed to the government being like their nanny that if I tell people, well, you know, you can decide whether you want to wear a mask or not, they're just like, well, I don't have permission not to. It's really bizarre. So here's the plan for what I'm going to do now that I'm part of the Libertarian Party. I am going to spend a year reading up on some basic liberty principles. So we're going to do economics, we're going to do prohibition, we're going to do the theology, I guess you could say, behind the Bill of Rights. Like, not this is the Bill of Rights, but we're going to read up on the culture and beliefs that affected how the Bill of Rights were written. I made it sound super boring, but it won't be. It will be interesting. Just basic liberty ideas. We're going to go over foreign policy. We're probably going to go over what it would mean to live in an authoritative country. So these basic books that I'm going to read, I've got 10 picked out, and I'm going to get people to join me on this journey of reading. I would like to spread the message of liberty and get people involved or interested in it who have never been interested in it before. Because, oh, Lord Almighty, we need people in government who don't want power. And right now, the only people who are running really want that power. It seriously attracts the worst type of person to be in charge of anything. Somebody who actually wants to be in charge. Like, you don't want that person in charge. The Barney Fifes of society that just are really, really eager to enforce what they can. And so the first year I'm going to spend reading through these books. We're going to do 1984. We're going to do economics in one lesson. And just so you know, I do not read hard, boring books unless I'm reading them by myself. So these are books I'm hoping to read with other people. And that's why I'm picking things that are easy and simple to understand. The second year, I want to see people, like I said, who are not part of the slick shoe shine crowd in local governments. I can't do anything about who's governor right now. But it would be really cool to get some liberty-minded people on our local zoning boards, or to be a local mayor. Or wouldn't it be cool to get like 18 to 20 libertarians in our legislature? Because in the state of Montana, that could affect a lot. Right now, 1 or 2 is not going to make a difference. We have somebody saying, I'm not voting for this because it funds all these programs that I think are robbery. That's not going to make much of a difference. But if we can get enough people involved at the local level and go up from there, we might actually have an impact. So hope springs eternal. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. Maybe we're too far gone for that. I've heard a lot of people that are very, very respectful of others' rights who've said we've come too far. There's no going back. That may be, but I'm not going to just lay down and die. So if you wish to join me, if you live in the local Lewis and Clark County area, I would love to meet up with you and do some reading together and learn about some of these things and how we got to where we are. Like I said, I do have a book list, and also get some people educated on this so they can run for local office. If you aren't in my local area, but you're in the state of Montana, still contact me and we will connect. I will put my email in the description along with the caucus for the Libertarian Party that I'm involved in. And like I said, I'm really excited about this. I know some people it might seem underwhelming. Yo, you joined a political party, huzzah. But to me, it is a big deal. To give up my independent status and actually get off my butt and try to do something. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns for my sanity that I dared to buck the two-party system. But I love to do stuff like that. So this just feels like a glove slipping on. Anyway, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks.